Biological Life Sciences channel. Today in this video we are going to see in details about the process of transcription. So let's see transcription in details. For understanding the transcription, we should know an important concept called as central dogma. So let's see what is central dogma. It is a basic path of expression of DNA or gene where DNA replicates itself to form DNA, and this DNA is converted into mRNA. This DNA is converted into mRNA, and this mRNA is converted into proteins. So this is the basic process through which a gene is expressed. The conversion of DNA into mRNA is called as transcription. And conversion of this mRNA into protein is called as translation. So this is how a protein is expressed, okay? So majority of the organisms present in this world follows this rule of expression. But in case of viruses, the process is a little bit different, because the viruses which have the RNA as genetic material have a reverse transcription where, first of all, for the infection purpose, the RNA present in virus is converted into DNA. So this process is called as reverse transcription. So this reverse transcription process happens in retroviruses only. Retroviruses. So therefore they are also called as reverse transcribing virus. So in this whole process, we are going to see in details the process of transcription and translation. The transcription is the formation of mRNA from DNA, and translation is formation of protein from mRNA. So let's see the process of transcription in details. The mRNA that is formed from DNA requires a main enzyme called as the RNA polymerase. So RNA polymerase is the main enzyme which forms the mRNA from the DNA. So therefore it is called as DNA dependent RNA polymerase. So therefore it is called as DNA dependent RNA polymerase. So for the process of transcription to happen, the RNA polymerase requires many things along with itself. There are different things that are required. Let's see one by one what are the different things. First of all, there is a template DNA strand. Obviously this template DNA strand will be provided by the DNA that is being transcribed, okay? So first of all, the template DNA strand is required. Second, there is an activated NTP is required, that is nucleotide triphosphate. This is RNA, remember, it's not dNTP. So NTP, nucleotide triphosphate, is required. NTP is the activated form of that, and that will be utilized to form the RNA. Next is there is a requirement of transcription factors. Then there is a requirement of Mg2 positive ions that acts as a cofactor for the RNA polymerase enzyme. So these are all the different things that are required for the transcription process. So let's see the transcription process and its equation. First of all, I will tell you the equation of transcription, and then we are going to discuss about the RNA polymerase that is present in prokaryotic cells. So here in this video, we will be dealing with the prokaryotic transcription only, where model organism that we are taking is E. coli, that is Escherichia coli, that is a bacteria. So the model organism we are taking here is Escherichia coli, okay? So let's first of all see the general equation, where general equation for the transcription process. Here you can see there is an enzyme RNA polymerase along with Mg cofactor plus different transcription factors forms NMP N plus 1 plus PPI. So here you can see in this equation, first of all, at the starting only in the RNA synthesis there will be nucleotide monophosphate. Okay. Now this is N in number. When new activated NTP is added to this NTP is hydrolyzed by RNA polymerase enzyme along with the magnesium divalent cation and different transcription factors. This NTP is converted into NMP and joined with the previous chain where NMP plus 1 takes place and a pyrophosphate group from this is released. So this is the general equation for the process of transcription. Okay. So let's see the process of transcription in details. So first of all, we are going to see the RNA polymerase which is present in bacterial cell. So this RNA polymerase is the main enzyme that forms the mRNA from the DNA. So now RNA polymerase has different subunits. Okay, so there are different subunits that are present in the RNA polymerase enzyme. First, there is 2 alpha subunits, then beta dash, beta, omega, and another subunit is called sigma. So it's a multi-subunit enzyme. So there are different subunits present here. 2 alpha subunits, beta dash, then beta, then omega, and a sigma subunit is present here. It is around 3,90,000 Daltons in its molecular weight. So therefore, these are the different subunits that helps RNA polymerase in synthesizing the mRNA from the DNA. Now this sigma subunit is a part of holo enzyme. The upper 5 subunits, means these 5 subunits are a part of enzyme called as a core enzyme. The upper 5 parts are called core enzyme, and this sigma subunit along with different transcription factors, there are transcription factors also that are required here. Along with the transcription factors, this whole assembly will be then called as a holo enzyme. Means only the main enzyme having the 5 subunits is called core enzyme, and the whole sigma factor along with the 5 subunits and the transcription factors, it's called the holo enzyme. Okay, so let's see the promoter that is important for this RNA polymerase. The RNA polymerase binds to a very specific region that is present ahead of a gene that is called as a promoter. So let's see what is the promoter. So the promoter is a segment of DNA which can range from 100 base pairs to 250 base pairs. Okay, so in bacteria it can go on from 100 to 250, and it is the region or the sequences that is present prior to gene. For example, this is a double-stranded helix, and here this is the place from where actual gene starts. So this position where the transcription is starting will be called as +1 site. It is called as +1 site. And now the position prior to this will be called upstream, and position down to this will be called as downstream. So now the actual gene starts from +1 site. So in the promoter for the RNA polymerase in bacteria, there are certain regions that are very important here. You can see here right at the -10. Suppose this is +1. When you go for further this side, it will be -1, -2, -3 like this. And when you go that side in the gene, this will be a proper gene, functional gene. Okay, and this is a coding non-coding sequences that is present prior to the gene. So when you go this side up till -10. There is a 6 nucleotide sequence that is called as TATA 80. This is a 6 nucleotide sequence. I am showing you here only the 5 prime, 3 prime end. The anti-parallel strand will be also below like this. Okay, so I am showing you the sequence on the above strand. So you can see here, right at the -10 site, there is a 6 nucleotide sequence that is called as a TATA 80. So this sequence that is present at the -10 end is called as TATA box. This sequence is called TATA box. Also it is called as Pribnov's box. This is also called as Pribnov's box. Okay. So when you go further on this side, right at the -35 place, when you go from -10, when you go to -35, right at this place there is a sequence, another sequence, that is hexanucleotide sequence, that is TTGACA, or sometimes it is also TAGACA. Okay, this sequence is directly present at the -35 site. So this is called as -35 element. Okay, this is called as -35 element. So these two sequences are very important for RNA polymerase to recognize the particular promoter. Again, from here there is a small sequence present at the -40 to -60 site. It is called upstream element. It is called as UE, upstream element, that helps RNA polymerase to bind at this position. So these are the different sites present on the promoter for the RNA polymerase in prokaryotic cell, where the RNA polymerase recognizes this promoter and binds at this position, and an initiation complex is formed at this position, and then the mRNA is formed. Okay, so this is the whole process where the recognition of promoter or +1 site by the RNA polymerase enzyme takes place. Remember, the sigma subunit present in RNA polymerase is very important to recognize the +1 site, and it also recognizes the TATA box. So therefore, once it has recognized this position and the initiation complex is formed, the sigma subunit dissociates from the RNA polymerase, thereby forming the mRNA. So this is the whole process of recognition or initiation of transcription in case of bacteria. So now let's see the actual process of initiation here. What happens in initiation? So this is the DNA. Suppose this is the +1 site. This is the TATA box, -10. This is -35 element, and this is upstream element. Now, what will happen here? The sigma subunit here recognizes the TATA box. Okay, so now the sigma subunit recognizes the TATA box here, and the alpha subunit recognizes the upstream element. Both the alpha subunit recognizes the upstream element, the beta subunit recognizes the -35 element, and the sigma is recognized by sigma subunit recognizes the TATA box. And it is also responsible for opening up of helix here for the formation of transcriptional bubble. So once the initiation complex is formed at this position, what will happen? The sigma subunit will dissociate and it will open the helix, and then the catalysis of the mRNA synthesis will be done by beta dash and omega subunit. So these two are the subunit that is responsible for catalysis purpose or the formation of mRNA, and then the synthesis occurs like this. So the mRNA here has 3 activities. The RNA polymerase here has 3 activities. So let's discuss the 3 activities of RNA polymerase one by one. The first activity of RNA polymerase is 3' to 5' polymerization. Polymerization means formation of mRNA. Okay, then the next activity is 5' to 3' exonuclease, and third activity is 3' to 5' exonuclease. So now here 5' to 3' exonuclease activity is also called as proofreading activity, and this 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, this helps in removing unmatched pair of nucleotide. Okay, so this activity at 5' to 3' proofreading activity helps the RNA polymerase to, when it is synthesizing the mRNA, it comes back around, if around 100 to 150 nucleotide is synthesizes, it comes back and checks whether it has added all the nucleotides properly or not. You can imagine how important this activity is, because when you are synthesizing the mRNA or a particular gene is synthesized, its perfection or its proper functioning should be there. So therefore this RNA polymerase comes back, checks whether it has added all the nucleotides properly or not, and then it goes on further. And if there is a missing nucleotide or unmatched nucleotide there, it uses this 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, removes that nucleotide, adds a new nucleotide there, and thereby proofreads the whole DNA that it has synthesized. So this is how the RNA polymerase binds at this promoter region that we have seen just now. So at the initiation, what happens? The first process of this mRNA formation is initiation. So at initiation, what happens? First of all, binding of the RNA polymerase at the promoter. Okay, so now when it binds to the promoter, I already told you, first of all, sigma subunit will bind or will recognize the Tata box, and the transcription initiation site or +1 site from where the gene starts. Then the upstream element is recognized by the alpha subunit and -35 element is recognized by beta subunit. The alpha dash and omega subunit helps in catalysis. The catalysis reaction or the reaction of transcription we have studied at the starting only, where the mRNA will be formed. So this was all about the initiation. Now let's see the elongation process. So what happens in elongation? The transcription bubble is opened like this. This is the sigma subunit here that has recognized the +1 site. From here the gene is starting. The helix is opened. The helix is opened for about 25 to 30 base pair. Means this region that is opened in the helix is about 25 to 30 base pairs. In that, 8 to 9 base pairs of the region is in close contact. That is, the 8 to 9 base pair is the DNA mRNA hybrid. DNA mRNA hybrid means whatever the mRNA that is synthesized here at this position, around 8 to 9 nucleotides are binded at a time. Okay, so now here what happens? The elongation process takes place. Now once the helix is opened and the recognition takes place, this sigma subunit dissociates from the RNA polymerase. So now when the sigma subunit dissociates, the activity of sigma subunit is completed. That is, its role was to recognize the +1 site and binding of the RNA polymerase at this position. Now in the process of elongation, the synthesis of mRNA takes place here. So here you can see, suppose the below strand is acting as a template strand, this strand, and the upper strand will be called as coding strand. The template strand is also called as antisense, and this is called as sense strand. Okay, so suppose the 3' to 5' end below strand is called as a template strand. So now what RNA polymerase enzyme will do, it will use this template strand as a code for synthesis of the mRNA. The thing is, in DNA there will be presence of thymine, and in mRNA there will be presence of uracil. One more difference is there, that is, the DNA here is always its deoxy NTP, but when the RNA is synthesized here, it will be always in the NTP form or NMP form. So the mRNA is synthesized here at this position, like this. Okay, and around, I already told you that 8 to 9 nucleotide base pairs binds to the mRNA at a time, and then the remaining portion hangs like this. The remaining portion hangs like this from the helix, and once the elongation started, the closed initiation complex is converted into open initiation complex. Okay, so now the elongation proceeds here. You can see the elongation takes place, or the mRNA synthesis takes place till the termination signal. The elongation takes place till the termination signal is reached on the template strand. So when the termination signal is reached on template strand, then only the termination of transcription takes place here. So now let's see the last process, that is termination. Termination of transcription. There are two types. First is row dependent termination. Then next one is row independent. Termination. So in termination there are two types, row dependent and row independent. Row is a specific protein that helps in termination. So it is called as extrinsic termination. Why it is called extrinsic termination? Because the external factor called as row helps in termination here. Therefore it is called row dependent termination. Now row independent termination, here there is no row factor required. So therefore it is called row independent termination or intrinsic termination. Therefore it is called intrinsic termination. So now let's see the first one, extrinsic termination first. That is row dependent termination. We are going to see first. So suppose the DNA helix is synthesizing the mRNA, and there is a CA rich region. CA rich region. CA, there will be a continuous stretch of CA nucleotide. As we all know that CA is having double hydrogen bond between them. So there will be a CA rich region that will be acting as a termination signal. That will be coded by template strand. So this termination signal is called as RUT signal in case of row dependent termination. Now this RUT signal is row utilization sequence. This RUT signal is called as row utilization sequence. Now when this sequence, the RNA polymerase encounters this sequence onto the template strand, then what will happen? The RNA polymerase will go and halt at that position. Okay, so once it halts at that position, there will be a row protein that will follow the template strand and it will go and bind to the transcription complex. For example, this is the template strand, this is the transcription bubble. Okay, so RNA polymerase is here, it is continuously synthesizing the mRNA. Here there will be 8 to 9 nucleotide DNA RNA hybrid that is continuously present in the bounded fashion to the template strand. This is the 5' to 3' end, and this is the 5' to 3' end. Okay, now this is the below strand is the template strand here. Now what will happen? Once the RNA polymerase is continuously synthesizing the mRNA, here the position will be 3', here the position will be 5'. So the direction is 3' to 5'. Okay. So now what will happen? This row protein will bind to the template strand here at this position. When it will bind? It will bind when the template strand encounters a particular sequence called as a RUT sequence. Okay, so RUT sequence is a CA rich region which is encountered on the template strand. So when you encounter this row utilization sequence, the row protein, this is the row protein, it binds at this position and it will continuously go in the direction of the transcription bubble. Okay, so now it will encounter the transcription bubble, it will go and bind at this position. So what will happen in next step here? Here in the next step, this row protein goes and binds at this position. Due to this, what happens? It will break the affinity of DNA RNA hybrid. So DNA RNA hybrid is binded of about 8 to 9 nucleotides together. Okay, so it will break the bond between DNA RNA hybrid. This will lose the affinity of RNA polymerase to this template strand, thereby dissociation of the whole assembly. So the whole assembly dissociates, the template strand again gets coiled, the RNA polymerase is removed from that position and the row protein is removed from that. All these substances present in the transcription complex here dissociates together, thereby bringing about the termination. So this is the process of row dependent termination. Now let's see another process, that is row independent termination. Row independent. So here obviously by the name we can tell that there is no row protein required, but there is a sequence of 8 nucleotide residues from both ends that will be called as palindromic sequence. It will be called as a palindromic sequence. Okay, so what is a palindromic sequence? It is a sequence which is when you place a mirror between them, it will read the same. Okay, so this palindromic sequence is reached onto the template strand. So once this palindromic sequence is reached, there is a formation of hairpin loop structure. So palindromic sequence, obviously you can see, for example, this is the strand and this is the center of the palindromic sequence, and this is the another strand. Okay, so what will happen? I'll tell you with one example. So what will happen? you can see here the nucleotide that is ATGC. For example, I'll quote an example here. Let's see what is first palindromic sequence. For example, suppose ATGC, okay, then it will be ATGC. Okay. So this is a sequence where when you form or when you place a mirror between them, what will happen? The sequence reads the same. So for example, the below strand is a template strand. So whatever the mRNA that will be formed from here will be, this is below strand is acting as a template strand. This is an example of a palindromic sequence. You can see the next 4 nucleotides are exactly opposite of the first 4 nucleotides. Here also the first 4 nucleotides are exactly opposite of the next 4 nucleotides. So the below strand here is acting as a template strand. Now when the mRNA is formed from that, what will happen? It will be formed like this. It will be formed from this side. So it will be G C A T. It will be C G T A. Okay. So what will happen? This forms a hairpin structure like this. Means the nucleotide folds away, since they are, see, these nucleotides are complementary to one another. They fold away together and forms a hairpin loop structure. Okay. So the mRNA having the complementary strand closed by will form a hairpin loop structure like this, and thereby halting the RNA polymerase at that position. So after the palindromic sequence, there is a continuous AA stretch. Means there is a continuous AA stretch that is present on the template DNA. So due to this, what will happen? It further weakens the interaction and thereby the dissociation of mRNA and the RNA polymerase from the template strand occurs. So let's see what is the exact process here. Suppose this is the upper strand. So this is the exact sequence which is present on the DNA strand, that is termination signal. Okay, so this is the exact sequence that is present in the termination signal. So this is the exact palindromic sequence. When the mRNA is formed from that, see, just after this, there is a presence of multiple A nucleotides. Just after this, okay, means actually here you can see, just after this palindromic sequence, there is a big stretch of AAA, and below here the stretch of TTT here. So this is the exact termination signal that is present. So what will happen when the RNA polymerase transcribes the below sequence? This is the template strand here. Okay, so helix will be opened at this position. Now the RNA polymerase will transcribe this sequence. Okay, and it will come and halt at this position. Why? Because this is the termination signal. Okay, so this is the termination signal. So once the RNA polymerase synthesizes this template strand, the mRNA that is being formed here, you can see, suppose this is the helix that is opened at this position. So exactly this is the palindromic sequence region, suppose, and it is opened like this. So when the here you can see below there is a termination signal. Okay. and here above there is A similarly. Okay. So now what will happen? The mRNA will be formed here. This is the whole big mRNA that is being formed, and what will happen? It will form a hairpin loop structure like this due to the formation of the mRNA from this sequence. You can see that this sequence, when it is converted into the mRNA, it is exactly complementary with this sequence. Okay, so it will form a hairpin loop structure here, and hairpin loop structure here, and this will be the 3' end. This will be the 3' end, which will be synthesized with U because that is complementary to the tree. Okay, so now this is a heavier side since there is a formation of hairpin loop structure here, plus the affinity here at this position between the T and U in the mRNA is less. Continuously around 8 to 9 base pairs or the nucleotides are DNA RNA hybrid here. So this side of the mRNA becomes heavy, which leads to the breaking of the bonds between the nucleotides or the DNA RNA hybrid formed at this position, thereby dissociation of RNA polymerase takes place. So RNA polymerase releases from this position, this 8 to 9 base pair DNA RNA hybrid breaks away, the mRNA removes away, then the DNA strand that is opened coils again itself, and the termination of the transcription happens like this in prokaryotic cell. So this was all about the whole process of transcription in bacteria. Comparatively with the eukaryotic cell, the transcription process in bacteria is a bit simpler because there is a single RNA polymerase enzyme, there is a single promoter. Okay. One more very important thing is there is a presence of no non-coding sequences or introns. Okay, so there is no presence of intron in this. Okay, so what will happen due to this? There is no post-transcriptional modifications required, because whatever the mRNA that is formed is always a matured mRNA, so there is no requirement of a post-transcriptional modification. So now when the process is happening of transcription, what will happen? The mRNA is forming at one end. Okay, so the process is so tackled in bacteria that the ribosome binds at this another position, means whatever the 5' end that is being synthesized here, the ribosome automatically binds at this position and starts synthesizing the polypeptide chain from it. Okay, so a single amino acid, that is mRNA, here the transcription is happening here of mRNA, and it is not yet stopped or not yet terminated, and continuously there is a translation process also starting here. So this is due to the no presence of introns in the mRNA of prokaryotic cell. So this process where the transcription and translation happens simultaneously on a single mRNA, still the termination of mRNA transcription is not taking place. This process is therefore called as coupled transcription translation. Means the transcription is happening along with the translation process, since there is no post-transcriptional modification required. So it's a very simple and a rapid process. This takes place in bacteria. This is done so because the bacteria will not spend lots of energy in all types of post-transcriptional modification. Therefore, this process happens, and it is called as coupled transcription translation. I hope you have understood the whole video, the whole transcription process in prokaryotic cell. We will be meeting in the next video where we will be discussing about the transcription in eukaryotic cell. We have taken the model organism here as E. coli, but in eukaryotic cell we will be taking the model organism as yeast cell. So I hope you have understood everything here. If there is any question, please do comment. If you like the video, press like button, share, comment and subscribe to channel. Thanks for watching.